Hello, fellow travelers, or the mind, I guess. Um, I thought I would introduce myself before we start with that channel. It could make sense if you're going to follow it. Where to start? Obviously, I'm a schizoid. That would not really make sense if I wasn't one, but I really define myself just by being hello society, I'm a schizoid. But it's relevant in that case. As you can hear from my accent, I'm not from North America, and that explains why I just said schizoid with the T. I was born in Europe, in France to be exact. I lived 10 years in North America, so I got a good grasp of both culture, but I'm keeping my T on my schizo. So schizoid, yes, diagnosed for over 20 years now. Been knowing about it, or at least been knowing that something was amiss, at least twice as long as that, good 40 years. But schizoids in general, and myself in particular, are very, very bad, or just physically incapable of asking for help. So it it wasn't logical for me 40 years ago to reach out and ask for help. It would make much more sense to try and solve it by myself, which I did. The the journey of this channel is I think a peculiar one, because it's an experimentation of some kind. What I'm trying to do is to put out there in real life what's happening, what I'm saying to myself in my inner world, plural, because I have more than one. And as I'm seeing it, as I'm trying to do it right now, and I'm sorry if it's not fluid, but it's because really it's on my mind. The first thing I can say, it's slowing me down. Yeah, logically, and I haven't thought of that, but I think much faster in my inner world than the time it takes to actually verbalize it. Not verbalize, because I do verbalize a lot in my inner world. Vocalize it. That's the thing. That's what's happening here. I'm using my speech center, so my brain is not using exactly the same tools than when I am only in my inner world. I think that's what's happening, and it's a little weird. I apologize. I'm like, I have a slight delay with what I have in my brain and what my lips are actually letting out. I think I'll get used to it. I think maybe I should maybe speak a little slower so I can give it time to settle. But that's what's happening. It's strange. It's funny. I can feel my brain working on two fronts at the same time. Obviously, since we're on that, it's interesting to dig a little bit. Obviously, I have an inner world. I have many inner worlds. We'll speak about it in other recordings, I guess. And I just said it. Sometimes I verbalize in my inner world, which means I literally talk to myself. And I even talk to several persons of myself. It's very useful for me when I'm in my inner world to get in touch with my female side, or my childish side, or my pervert side, yes, it happens, or my narcissistic side, or my world domination side. You have no idea how many times I killed the whole humanity with a lot of pleasure inside my head. It's inside my head, which is the whole differences from crazy people. But that do happen, and I do verbalize in a sense that I do really speak, and sometimes I speak in real time, so even in my head it can be a little slower. But sometimes I don't verbalize it. Sometimes I just let the train of thought go by itself and making connection by itself, and then it's much faster. When that happens, it's very hard to verbalize it. It's probably going to be even harder to vocalize it. We'll see. We'll see. But that's the idea. That's the idea of the experiment I'm trying here, is trying to give you guys those kind of insights And I'm being disturbed in real time by Wiggins the cat. How are you doing? Yeah? Something to add to the mic? You see, you can't even be alone. Always have an animal somewhere. Well, I have to say that I'm living in the countryside, and this is not the only furry friend I have around, but it's the one that is nocturnal, right? Yes, I do record that in the middle of the night. I thought you were sleeping somewhere else. So yeah, that's the extent of the experimentation here, to try and put out what is usually inside. I'd like to be noble and tell you that I'm doing that for you guys, so you or your family can understand, or if you're professionals, so that you can get direct insight. But honestly, I'm also doing it for me. Let's be clear on that. Sometimes it's going too fast in my head, so I'm guessing slowing it down and being able to listen it back might be a good thing for me. So that's also why I'm doing it. It's not all altruistic. So that's the extent of the experimentation. I think for the introduction, I'm not going to be too long about it. Couple more things you need to know, because they might help to get context in some of the answer or questions I'm going to ask later. I do have 2 comorbidities, so I'm not just a schizoid. It'll be so much easier. And maybe we'll dig it and how and why those have been diagnosed. I have a comorbidity of a obsessive personality disorder, and I said obsessive, not compulsive, because my psychiatrist clearly told me that I am not compulsive. But we had a laugh when she said that I had an obsessive disorder, because I knew for a while that I was a little bit obsessive, but I always thought it was a personality trait. And when she said, well, it's on a disorder level, I was like, you sure? And she smiled and said, at that level, yeah, I'm sure. That I had given her. Those are direct recording. You just witnessed a cat throwing my mics down. Thank you, Wiggins. And now I'm missing the magnet of it, but it's okay. I'm going to finish with it in my hands, and I'll take it later. Does anyone wonder how will cat meat taste? Because I do wonder that now. It's weird. Try not to do the same with the phone, because it's really not the same price, my friend. I try to record with the cat. So as I was saying, obsessive disorder. So she smiled at me saying that, because it was obvious since it's been a few weeks that I was literally making military reports on on my state of mind with extended Excel spreadsheets and graphs. And so, but it was funny. And the second one is much less funny than that. I do have a severe depressive disorder. It's chronic. It's been like that since I was a teen, and with a couple suicide attempts, of course. So this one's not funny, and that's actually why I'm seeing a psychiatrist. I have never been seeing a psychiatrist or a therapist for the schizoid side of things. But I think it's 2 things you need to know, because it will alter some of my answer when I am conscious that my answers will be different because of one or another of those disorder. I will tell you, but sometimes I might just not know myself. So it's there, you know it, and you know, I hope what to do with it if something I say is much more different than what you were anticipating. It might come from that. I think that's all for the introduction, because I now have to find my magnet in the middle of the night with no lights, of course, because I haven't taken the lights. Yeah, I do live in the country, guys. I am a very, very lucky schizoid guy. I have no soul, no houses. I'm looking around now, at least a good quarter of a mile from where I'm sitting here. It's a perfect way to live. Let me tell you that. Okay, I'm gonna leave you there and go look for the magnet of my mic. Take care.